It's Johnny Ortiz with Indivisible CD 19 New York. We're standing outside of the swearing in of our brand new congressperson, Antonio Delgado, and we're super proud and excited to be here because this actually represents the culmination of tremendous amount of grassroots activism and coordination. So our goal was to flip that seat from red to blue, and we did it.
Today is truly a great day. You can just feel it, of course. And it's great for so many reasons. I'm going to touch on four. First, obviously, it's a great day for Antonio. You know, I have met a whole lot of people in politics, obviously. I have rarely met someone as talented in so many different ways as your new congressman. He was born, as most of you know, in Schenectady. His folks worked at GE and then in the state government. He attended Notre Dame and Bishop Gibbons High School, and he was a star on the basketball team. Later, I learned that he played in the NCAA 1 division tournament in 1996 when Colgate lost to UConn. Now, I was also a basketball player for James Madison High School in Brooklyn. I was not quite as good as Antonio. Our team's motto at Madison was this: we may be small, but we're slow. So Antonio graduated from Colgate and then was one of only, I believe it is, 40 a year chosen on the basis not only of academic success, but on all-aroundness to become a Rhodes Scholar, went to Harvard Law School. And then, of course, he had a very varied career. He was in the music business. Which will prove to be an asset in Washington. Worked for a law firm for a little while. Made documentary films, but let me just say this. Throughout his whole life, the thing that marked Antonio more than anything else was his desire to give, to use the tremendous talents that God gave him to help others in a whole different variety of ways. And that is, I think, it's his talent, it's his desire to help, it's his heart as well as his mind and his soul that had him overcome undaunting odds and become the congressman of this great 19th district. So it is a great day for Antonio Delgado, and you can say this: he got here the old-fashioned way. He earned it. It's a great day for his family, for Lacey, for Maxwell and Coltrane, who I got to share their Cheerios almost before, for his parents, Thelma and William, and brother Keto, wife Rachel, sister-in-law Rachel, mother-in-law Peggy. You know, our families always, when you achieve a great success like Antonio has, he would be the first to say, and we all would say, our families really are just as important in making it happen as we are ourselves. Our families, when you are in public life, your families have to put up with a whole lot, as you have already learned. I'll never forget, it was my daughter's 5th birthday, my little daughter, and I got a call from a pastor in one of our local churches that they were having an Easter pageant. It was a cold, dark night. 300 seniors were lined up outside. But Con Ed had shut off the electricity and locked the door because they falsely claimed that the church didn't pay its electric bill. And the Con Ed man was there. The pastor called me during my daughter's 5-year-old birthday, said, "You got to come here, 300 seniors. We've prepared this whole Easter pageant." I went. Took me 2 hours to persuade the Con Ed man to let the door be open. And then I got home and missed the birthday party. My daughter's now 29 and reminds me of it regularly. And our families also have our backs, as you know, Antonio. A few years ago, I was talking to some gentleman. I sort of vaguely recognized him, but I didn't quite know who he was. And my wife is pulling on my suit check, and I said, "What's going on, dear? I'm talking to the man. What are you doing?" She said, "Don't you recognize him? He insulted you 15 years ago." So our families are part and parcel to the joys and tribulations of public life. It's a great day for the entire Delgado family, and congratulations to all of you. It's a great day for the members of this 19th Congressional District. As you know, I visit every county every year, so I have visited each of the counties in this district. It is so varied and so diverse in every way, economically, politically, people from all different philosophies and walks of life, all in this district. Farms and small businesses, college towns, struggling schools, inner cities. It's extremely diverse. But the one thing it has in common, all of it, is it needs, as Dee Dee mentioned, good service in Washington. Help for the schools and help for people who are struggling. Help for the transportation system, help for the farms. All of that is so important. And it is the Congress member whose job it is to bring those services from faraway Washington to the diverse needs of this 19th district. Well, you couldn't have found a better person to do that because of all the things I mentioned before: his talent, his caring, his energy, his integrity. And so it's not just a great day for Antonio and his family, it's a great day for the 700,000 members of the 19th Congressional District. Finally, it's a great day for the United States of America. You know, with all the trouble we have in Washington, sometimes we forget still the ongoing beauty of this democracy. It's a cold November night. People are getting out of work. They want to get home, maybe put food on the table, maybe sit in your favorite chair and watch your favorite TV show. But no, the people throughout this district, throughout New York State, and throughout America line up in quiet dignity, wait their turn, go into the polling place, do their thing, and the next morning, we all abide by the results. That's an amazing thing. It doesn't happen in many places throughout the world. And so it is something we forget with all the trouble we see right now in Washington and else and throughout the land. It didn't have to be this way. The story I like to tell, which I'll conclude with, is this. They asked, Benjamin Franklin was sitting outside a coffee house. They didn't have Starbucks in those days. In Philadelphia, the day after they had finished the Founding Fathers, there were no founding mothers in those days, they had written the Constitution. And one of the leading matrons of Philadelphia went over to him and said, "Dr. Franklin, what have you gentlemen created in that building over there?" She pointed to Constitution Hall. He was sort of in a cranky mood, and he rifled back at her. He said, "Madam, we have created a republic if you can keep it." Now, what did he mean by that? They created an amazing thing. It had a whole lot of trouble, too. Let's not forget, in 1789, the only people who could vote were white, male, Protestant property owners. So a majority, how many of you could vote? Raise your hands. Not too many. There's 5 or 6 back over there. So the Constitution did many great things, but was far from perfect. But when Franklin said a republic if you can keep it, here's what the historians told us they were most worried about. First, they were worried that people would participate in this new thing, a democracy. They knew human nature. They knew that people were concerned with their families and their jobs, the ups and downs, the vicissitudes of life that God visits on every one of us. Would they even care? Would they even participate? And second, they worried about who would put themselves forward for office. They were worried that the people who would run and get elected would put themselves over the community, over the people they represented, for money, for ego, for power. They called them in those days scoundrels. We call them that today. Well, look at this beautiful room today, this morning. It's a cold January morning on a Saturday. The room is jammed to the rafters with people who've participated in government, in their communities, in other branches of government, in helping Antonio get elected, and in so many other ways. Oh yes, the people are participating. And look at who we've chosen to lead us. Certainly not a scoundrel, not even someone who's just okay. We've chosen one of our very best. So if Benjamin Franklin were looking down on this room this morning, he'd smile. This is the democracy the Founding Fathers wanted. So God bless Antonio, God bless his family, God bless this great 19th CD, and God bless the United States of America. It's a great day. But I don't have the oath. I have the oath. Oath. You have the oath? Is it in here?
No.
Yes, at the end of the speech I didn't read. Okay, here's the Bible. Lacey? Great. Hi, kids. Who's Maxwell? Who's Coltrane?
Come on.
Come on, Coltrane.
This is the moment. Big moment.
This is big. See how many red sweaters there are. Okay. So, please repeat after me, Antonio. I, state your name,
Antonio Delgado,
do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
and that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office on which I am about to enter. So help me God. Congratulations.
He has to run, but let's give it up for Senator Schumer. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks again. Yep. I'm gonna pull this out. How's it going out there? Oh, it feels good to be here. Amazing sight. I want to first start off by thanking, well, as you can see, just, we talk about a paradigm shift, Dee Dee. If you can't tell already, we're bringing fatherhood to DC, and it's something that I certainly, family and parenting is of utmost importance to me, and it is as difficult as it can be at times, the greatest joy of my life. So I want to thank the mayor for doing a lovely job and for the service you bring to bear here in Hudson. I really appreciate that. I want to thank the good Reverend for those beautiful words. As some of you may know, I was raised in a Baptist church. In fact, Reverend Grant knows my pastor who raised me up in Albany from his pulpit in Macedonia. My mother and father made sure I was there every Sunday. And your words mean a lot. Dee Dee, thank you for your service, your principled leadership, and the depth of your integrity and character. We shared a lot of moments, and I take those moments with me daily, so thank you. Tammy, Sage, and all the folks who made opening up this venue possible, to law enforcement as well, thank you. To my family, Lacey, for all that you have done. We can clap it up for Lacey. To Maxwell and Coltrane, thank you. Yes, can you sit down? Now you gotta sit down. My mother and father, thank you. I love you guys. Peggy, my mother-in-law, Michael, my brother Keto, Rachel, to everybody on this stage who played so many wonderful roles in my life. To all the elected officials in the room, thank you. And to all of you in this room. I see so many beautiful faces, people who I've come to know and people who I love genuinely. This moment means an awful lot on a lot of levels. And to be in this room with you today, taking it in, letting it sink in, this is the only way it could happen. Right now in this room with you at home. It feels mighty good to be home. So thank you. I also want to thank Mr. Avery and his lovely wife, Dorothy, for your service to this country, a true American hero. And when you think about, yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your service. Thank you. Thank you. I was speaking the mic. Thank you, sir. 94 years old. 94 years old. You know, Senator Schubert talked about democracy and the principles that we are now benefiting and standing upon. This man and so many like him put their lives on the line. A true American hero. Still hugging, still loving. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. And 71 years of marriage, too. That's special. That's special. Now, I'd like to share a few words with you. I wouldn't be completely honest if I didn't tell you that I was walking into a situation that didn't feel normal. That I think is quite unique. I mean, you show up to work, right? You show up to do the job, and essentially the job has been shut down. And this doesn't happen that often. When you go to work and it's not open. And we can laugh and joke, and I think it's in some respects because you want to keep yourself from crying. Because it's a travesty. It's a travesty to be in this position. Now, I ran because I believe in good government. I ran because I believe that government ought to be for the people and by the people. And I get to Washington in the middle of a shutdown, and I don't know how we can serve the people if the government's not open. How do we do that? Now, as inspiring as it is to walk the halls of Congress with a new, diverse, dynamic class, and it is awfully inspiring, don't get me wrong, there is a cloud that is hanging over the new day that was created back in November. But make no mistake about it. These difficult times make me all the more steadfast and all the more committed to serving you, to doing right by you, and to standing on top of our principles, and to fighting for who we are as Americans. Believe that. We have got to rise above the partisan politics. We have to. We have to restore our collective faith in democracy. Now, more than ever. And no matter what is going on in Washington, that is what I will be focusing on. That is my North Star. You. Serving you. Beholden to you. The people. Now, we talk about the shutdown and what it's doing and how it makes it difficult for people who want to serve the people. Because not only does the shutdown take our focus off of our priorities, things that we want to get busy doing, it's hurting people. It's causing real harm in people's pockets, day in and day out. People who want their tax refund. Farmers who are hoping to get some relief from government dealing with the impact of the administration's trade policy. SNAP recipients holding out hope that those benefits will still be there come February, come March. Small business owners who want loans to start their businesses and keep themselves afloat are all at risk now. People are living paycheck to paycheck in this country. 78%. We have federal workers right now who are relying on those paychecks, asking to work right now without those paychecks, hoping to get by, hoping that it'll end in time for them to put food on their children's plates and table. Now, this is not right. It's just not right. And when I ask myself, well, what is it? How do we get here? Now, let me tell you something. I'm for border security. I'm for dealing with the broken immigration system. I'm for making sure that we do so in a humane and dignified fashion that recognizes the dignity in all of us. I'm for all of that. Republicans, Democrats, Independents, we're for all of those things. What I know we're not for, the vast majority of us in this country are not for, is a wall. We are not for a campaign promise anchored in hate and division. And you know how I know? Well, for starters, I know who we are and our principles. But in recent history, I would argue that the elections in November were a pretty clear, resounding rejection of that type of fear and division. We stood for unity. We stood for love. We stood for building together and cooperating, respecting each other. That was what it was about. Not a wall. We need to move past the hate and the division to get busy doing the work of good government. That's what we need to do. And that's what I'm here to do. So what have I been doing? I've only been there a little while now. It hasn't been that long. But I like to work. And we've done a few things to at least try to get the ball moving. I'm proud to have supported a number of bills that were meant to open up the government. Bills, I might add, that our counterparts in the Senate, Republicans, have already agreed to. Again, trying to find that common ground on a bipartisan basis. I'm also the original co-sponsor of a bill that asked the CBO to release the daily impact of the shutdown so that we in DC can be held accountable. We can see the impact, and hopefully that can spur some action. I join my colleagues in calling on Secretary Perdue of the DOA to give us a detailed plan of how we're going to keep the SNAP benefits going as the year progresses. And we'd like to see some answers there. And lastly, and I did consult Lacey before doing this, but when I thought about the individuals who are going without pay because of government inaction, and they're working, federal workers, a lot of them, still working, TSA, they're out there still working, can't get a dime though. Now, as a member of Congress, I couldn't in good conscience, I couldn't take my paycheck while this government action is ongoing. So I've asked that my pay be withheld until the government shutdown concludes. The bottom line is we need to stop the games. We need to stop the games and get things done. Now let me talk about what those things are. Let me talk to you about my priorities, our priorities, things that I know, I've heard we want to get done. Whether it's protecting our environment, making sure we have clean air and clean water, dealing with the water crisis in Hoosick Falls and Petersburg, we can start there. Or whether it's making sure we have rural broadband and we invest in robust public works infrastructure so that our local economies can grow from farmers to small business owners. Or whether it's addressing the opioid epidemic with innovative programs like Chatham Cares for You put forth by Chief Volkman, and making sure they have the money to bring those programs to bear. That's right. And of course, fighting to make sure that we have universal, affordable, and accessible health care for everyone. I'm ready to work on these things. I am. We got work to do. A lot of it. And we can get there, but listen, we cannot get there if we can't figure out how to work across the aisle. We can't do it. It's a diverse place we're living in here. It's America. It's the great experiment. All different walks of life, different cultures, languages, all coming here in pursuit of happiness, whatever you define that to be. So it's going to take work. It's going to be challenging. And it's going to take cooperation. Can't get everything we want at every turn. But if we're moving the ball forward, if we're knowing that collectively we're going in the right direction and doing it the right way, we're holding true to our founding principles and what we stand for. And that's what I'm trying to do. That's why one of the most proud things I am right now is of the fact that the first bill I introduced, the very first bill I introduced as a member of Congress is a bipartisan bill. A bipartisan bill, and I want to make sure I get this name correct. The actual name of the bill, it's a little long. The Service Disabled Veteran Small Business Continuation Act. Now what does this act do? What does it do? It extends benefits to spouses of veterans who suffered disabilities in action. Bipartisan bill. Okay? I also am originally co-sponsoring the Disability Integration Act, which extends home care to those who are struggling with disabilities. Another bipartisan piece of legislation. I'm going to run with all my might to every single bipartisan opportunity I can find to make sure that people understand I'm here to work for everybody. Because when it gets tough, when the big issues come, and they're gonna come from healthcare to climate change, you name it, I want people to know they got a good actor on the other side, a good faith actor, somebody who's not there just to play political games, but to do the work for the people. And that's why I'm proud I've also co-sponsored H.R. 1. Now, H.R. 1 is an historic government reform that goes straight at the problem of money in our politics and levels the playing field, empowers small donor individuals who want to help from the grassroots. We need that now more than ever. Restores the Voting Rights Act, strengthens ethics laws, and requires states, when they start drawing these congressional districts, to use an independent commission. How about that? So we can get away from all the partisanship and get back to the business of good government. That's how we get to true representation. That's how we get beyond partisan politics. Now, I'm about true representation. And what does it mean? It means being transparent. It means being accountable to the people that put you in the seat you hold. That's what it means. And that's exactly what I intend to do. I'm opening up offices all across this district, everywhere. We're opening up one at our headquarters tomorrow in Kingston. Stop on by if you want. We're going to have them out as far as west as Delaware, all the way back to the east side. And I think not just opening up offices, but making sure the calendar of where I'm going to be, so you can see where I'm headed and know that. Meet me there if you like. Ask me a question or 20. You know? Amanda Boomhauer, my district director. Get to know that name. It feels good. To the veterans, to the farmers, to the small business owners, we're creating advisory boards to make sure that I stay plugged in on the ground and not just think of legislation being walled off in DC, but to bring what's going on here at home with me to DC and to build upon that legislation that I know can have a real profound effect on the communities right here at home. That's what we're doing. To the young people, I'm coming to your schools to talk about the importance of education, of public school education. I see you. To labor, you'll see me in your picket line when the time is right. We need to stand up. And to all of you, as I think I know you would like to see, I'll be seeing each and every one of you at town halls across this district, every single county. I will be doing a town hall in every single county my first year in office, every one. Now, as I bring this to a close, the fundamentals of representation, the fundamentals of good government, what are they from my vantage point? The fundamentals of what it means for us as we build this partnership moving forward. There's three key pieces, I believe. Create the space. Create the space to listen and learn from constituents, from you, even if you don't agree. Create that space for real, genuine dialogue, to encourage and foster participatory democracy. Participatory democracy. And then in that space, work together to find solutions. Doesn't this sound good? I mean, as I say it, it feels good to come together across a diversity of point of views and work hard for answers that we know will benefit the vast majority of us. That's democracy. And then showing up and delivering on what matters for the people right here in this room and all across New York 19. I gotta show up and I gotta deliver. Now, I can't control everything that goes on in DC. Shoot, most of what goes on in DC. But what I can control is my connection to you. That's what I can control. I can choose how much time I want to spend in DC versus how much time I want to spend here at home. I can choose the town halls and how accessible I want to be. It's all on me. I like that. It's all on my desire, my willingness to be humble enough, to be grateful enough, to be mindful enough, to understand that it's not about me at all, but about the people. We have too many folks in DC right now who think it's about them. and they act like it. The more and more we stay connected, the more and more we stay aligned, we can make our dream collectively work together. And I know that I will do right by you. Now, Senator Schumer talked about democracy in those wonderful words by Ben Franklin, and how important and how precarious it is. We almost take democracy for granted when you grow up in it, right? It's like a fish. When you start boiling the water and the fish doesn't know it's boiling until it's too late because the fish doesn't know any better. We've been in democracy for so long that we don't know. We take it for granted until it gets to a point where it could be too late. We're at that point now where we have to dig in. And I actually have been thinking about a quote from a wise individual that has been sort of been guiding me through these difficult times. Our capacity for justice is what makes democracy possible. It's our capacity for justice that makes it possible. But it's our inclination to injustice that makes democracy necessary. Necessary. Our inclination. We have to be honest with ourselves and understand that this system of ours is here for a reason. To appeal to our better angels. To keep us on track with those better angels. And that's what I want to be about. What we can all be about collectively is keeping our eyes on those better angels through all the difficult times. And know that that's what I'm committed to doing. I am profoundly honored, deeply honored, to be able to serve you deeply. And I promise to do so with great care and a determined heart. Thank you. I love you. God bless you.